Boisai, welcome back. Let's go for it. Well, you're going to do the sugya of Lo Silbash. Dressing the opposite gender. We're going to get involved. Let the pasuk in Kisese, Chapez Hey. It says, Lo yeh kli gever al isha, v'lo yilbash gever simlus isha, ki te'evas Hashem lekecha kol oisa eila. Okay. So there's an isser for men to wear women's clothing and women to wear men's clothing. I'm going to see that extends to beyond just wearing clothing. Let's get involved. The Rambam says there's two reasons behind this isser. One reason, something to do with avodah zarah. I didn't really fully understand that. And number two is it will bring to zima. It will bring to lewdness. It will bring to not so promiscuity. Wearing the opposite clothing of the opposite gender, zima. The Gemara in Nazir Nuntes, the Tanakama says that the Isser is to cross-dress, to wear clothing of the opposite gender, and then mix in with the opposite gender. Meaning it seems like it's going as far to not just wear a garment of the opposite gender, but do such a good job with your dressing like the opposite gender that you could actually mix in with them. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov argues, and he says, no, even a woman who's going out armed, or a man who's going out wearing an article of women's clothing, even that, you are over the Isser of Lo Silbash. You don't need to be completely dressed the other way and mixing in. Zak the Shulchan Aruch says, even one garment is a problem. And the Ramah clarifies, a little bit further, he qualifies, and he says, there's an Isser wearing one garment of the opposite gender, even if it's clear what gender you are. So if you're a man and you're wearing, throw it out there, a pink scarf, which is clearly ladylike, even though everybody knows you're a man, you got a beard, but everybody knows you're a man, but wearing that pink scarf, once again, there may be other heterim coming up, but for starters, Zat Ramah, that would be an Isser of Lo Silbash. So the Ramah and Shulchan Aruch are seemingly passing like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. You don't need to actually completely be mixed in, just one garment. Now, if you understand, like the Tanakama, that you're mamash mixing in with the opposite gender, you understand how the Rambam explains. It says it's zima will lead to lewdness. But if you would have read this Rambam 30 years ago, you're going to be asking yourself a question. So the guy wears a pink scarf. What's the zima? What's the lewdness of a guy wearing a pink scarf? What's the big deal? What's going to happen? Now, 30 years later, for 900 plus years, nobody really chapped that pshat in the Rambam. But nowadays, we can chap pshat in that Rambam very well. Somebody starts off with a little pink scarf. Nowadays, one thing could lead to the next. And before you know it, we have some people nowadays that have, let's just say, taken it not a little too far. Way too far. And maybe in our crazy world, we see people who have, it's led to crazy zima. Let's actually, once I'm talking about those, that chevra, let me just point out quickly. If there is a nebuch person that thinks he's a member of the opposite gender, and therefore he goes and if he does the hormonal treatments to make him more like the opposite gender, or even worse, if he does some procedure to make himself resemble the opposite gender in one way or the other, that l'chayr is besides other isurim as well, but that is the biggest Lo Silbash as one can be. I know he has other problems as well. I'm not saying there aren't other problems, but it's as big of a Lo Silbash as one can possibly do. Okay, so there's four cases cases listed in the Shulchan Aruch that discuss different types of Lo Silbash. One is man wearing women's clothing or women wearing men's clothing. Number two is men shaving different body parts. Number 3 is men plucking out white hairs from amongst their black hairs. Number 4 is men using a mirror. So let's discuss them. So the Bach has a game changer chiddush. This Bach is what the sugya is about. So listen, open your ears to this Bach. You ready? Zak the Bach. The Bach says that there's only an isser to wear women's clothing, or vice versa. I'm just going to discuss this way first. We got men here, so we're going to discuss the men to the women, but it works either way. So there's only an isser of men wearing women's clothing if you're wearing it to be woman-like. If you're wearing it to be woman-like, to mix them with the women, to be woman-ish, womanly, I guess that's a word, then there's the isser. But if there's a separate reason, a totally different reason that you're wearing the woman's clothing, the isser does not apply. So, Lafi this Bach, you're cold, and let's face it, there's only pink tights to wear, but you're cold. And the guy who puts on the pink tights because he's cold, that would not be an Isser of Lo Silbash according to the Bach. There's only one umbrella. You take the pink umbrella. I didn't discuss yet, but it doesn't only apply to clothes. It applies to accessories as well. You need an umbrella, and there's only a pink umbrella. The Bach would say no problem. Right? It's raining. It's cold. And you give your jacket to your wife, and she's wearing your jacket. Why? Because she's cold, not because she wants to be like a man. There would, Lafi the Bach, be no Isser of Lo Silbash. The Yad Katana asks on the... Before we ask, I just want to give the basis of the Bach. The basis of the Bach is... The Isser is, so you don't look like a woman. You don't mix in with the woman. You don't do things that are womanly. This is not womanly. To do because you want to stay warm isn't womanly. The Yad Katana asks in the Bach, wait a second. Since when do we darshan time of the Kra to matter and Isser? We don't say, oh, you were wearing shatnez because you were cold? Oh, then it's okay. That's not how it works. If the Torah said it's also to wear women's clothing, it's also to wear women's clothing. I don't care. I don't care if you were doing it because you're cold. If it's aser, it's aser. Okay. That's the question of the Yad Katana. So the Arugas Aboisim comes and defends the Bach, and he explains that it's true that in general we don't darshan time of the Kra to matter Isurim. However, when the Torah itself tells you the reason for the Isser, when there's scriptural indication, when the pasuk gives you the time, and the pasuk itself says, "Ki te'avas Hashem Elokecha kol Yisraela," that it's a teiva. That's the problem. So now I know. Now I can be darshan time in the Quran. I could say the Torah said it's only a problem with it's teiva. If it's not a teiva, I'm just cold. Then the Isser would not apply. So that's how the Rugas Aboisim defends the Bach. We can actually give a proof to the Bach. They say a riddle. What are two things that are Asr, but when you put them together, they become mutter? So, Zach the Shulchan Aruch, it's Asr to look in the mirror, for a man to look in the mirror. No, shatnez is taking two mutter things and making them Asr. I want to take two Asr things and make them mutter. So, it's Asr to look in the mirror, according to the Shulchan Aruch. Next Isser, it's Asr to take a haircut from a guy unless you're watching him in the mirror. Why? Because maybe he'll go and try to slit your throat or something like that, the guy. But if you have your eyes on him, you're watching him in the mirror, now it's okay. So, haircut by guy without a mirror, Asr. Looking in the mirror by itself, Asr. Looking in the mirror while taking a haircut, all of a sudden that becomes mutter. So, I don't have another one. That's the only one that I can think of. So the question, wait a second, I don't understand. If looking in the mirror is the Isser of Lo Silbash, so why could you look in the mirror when you get a haircut? What's sheikhs? Meaning, now you're going to say, well, it's pekuach nefesh. You can't get a haircut by a guy because he might kill you. It's pekuk nefesh. That's why you can look in the mirror. Charlie, don't get a haircut by the guy. You can't get a haircut by. You can't go. I'm gonna put myself in a makim sakana. Then I'm gonna have to be over an isser to get out of. If it's an isser to look in the mirror, then you can't take a haircut by a guy and have an excuse to look in the mirror. This is a proof for the din of the Bach, that the Bach says that if you're doing it for another reason, the Isra doesn't apply. Over here, he's looking in the mirror not because he wants to be womanly. He's looking in the mirror so the barber doesn't slit his throat. Yeah, you got to make sure your barber doesn't slit you in the throat. It's always better off for your barber not to kill you. Fun.
Who says that?
Yeah, it's Chazal. Fun. Now, by the way, just a side point based on this mirror point, you would be allowed to look in the mirror to check if your tefillin is straight. Because just like you could look in the mirror, we'll see anyways, you could look in the mirror. But even before we get to the point that you could really look in the mirror, you can look in the mirror to make sure the barber doesn't kill you. You can look in the mirror to make sure your tefillin are straight. However, the Sanz Rav, he was not happy with the looking in the mirror point. Not happy. The Sanz Rav said, you're going to go in a shul? In a base Knesset, you're going to look in the mirror? Horrible. Yes, what's the question?
Something interesting. I went to the Tzam. They're not makbid that the tefillin has to actually be directly centered.
So good. The Sanz Rav said, the question was, we heard that the Sanz of Hasidim aren't makbid for their tefillin to be centered. And if it's in line, the Sanz Rav said, what's the big deal? Chazal say there's room on your head for 2 pairs of tefillin. If there's room on your head for 2 pairs of tefillin, you got to be a pretty big Dumbo to miss it, to miss the spot. However, the Sanz Rav is a big tzarchin, because l'chayr, what it means, spot on your head for 2 pairs of tefillin, is not side to side, it's up and down. And if it's up and down, l'chayr, you can mess it up. Don't worry, I had this prepared already before you. Don't worry. Yes.
Oh, really?
So, and furthermore, I don't know when the Chazal said there's room for 2 pairs of tefillin, I don't know what size tefillin the Chazal we're talking about. You see those like old Sephardi men who are like 200-300 years old with the 2 pairs of tefillin on, you know what I'm talking about? So they have these little teensy pairs of tefillin, and they have room for it. Does that mean that I have room for it? And you tell me the Chabad guys, those guys have room? You tell me those guys have room for it? I don't know. You ever see these Mikubalim who wear tefillin during Mincha, who are like massive boxes? There's definitely no room for 2 of those. So I think it really depends, and tzarchin kasha on the Sanz Rebbe. Okay, so do we follow this Bach? So the Taz follows the Bach, and the Taz relies on the Bach. That once again you're wearing the woman's clothes, or vice versa, like always. You're wearing the woman's clothes, but you have a good reason why you're doing it. It is mutter. What about the Shach? The Shach says that the words of the Bach ain't dvarim muchrachim kol kach. It's not so pashut that which the Bach says. However, l'maisa, the Shach concludes you can rely on the Bach, except don't take it too far. Don't wear complete head-to-toe women's clothing and rely on the Bach. You can rely on the Bach to wear some women's clothing, but don't go full-body women's clothes and rely on the Bach. The Chachmas Adam, what does he say? So the Chachmas Adam is even a little less convinced about the words of the Bach. And the Chachmas Adam says that you could rely on the Bach for accessories, but not for clothing. So let's say you're cold, do not put on the pink tights, the Chachmas Adam. Do not put on the pink coat. Do not wear the pink coat if you're cold. However, the pink umbrella, go for it. That's not a problem. That's what the Chachmas Adam says. Accessories, you can rely on it. Clothing, you can't. The pasuk which says over here that you cannot wear women's clothing, if we check out the Targum Yonason, it's not here, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. I need a fancy chumash. If we check out it's fine. If we check out the Targum Yonason, what does he says as an example, Lo Silbash, wearing talis and tefillin. So you're wearing, if a woman wears talis and tefillin, that will be Lo Silbash. Now, Dvarm. That would be Lo Silbash. Now, the question that everybody's asking, it's fine, I got it already. I got it in my head. Shkoyach. The question that everybody's asking, who wore talis and tefillin? Which women? Yeah, Rashi's daughters. Where does it say that Rashi's daughters wear talis and tefillin? Nowhere. But we all know that Rashi's daughters wear talis and tefillin because that's what we were told when we were in 3rd grade. Okay, but even if we don't believe that Rashi's daughters wore talis and tefillin, it says in Navi that Micha bas Shol wore tefillin, talis and tefillin. So Micha bas, and that's legit. That actually it says, as opposed to Rashi's daughters, which we don't really know. So how could they? I don't go. What's going on? Targum Yosin says Beged Isha Lo Silbash, and Micha bas Shol, or maybe Rashi's daughters did it. What's pshat? So the Bach would explain very simple. The Bach would explain Micha bas Shol and Rashi's daughters. Why were they wearing talis and tefillin? Not to be manly. It was first Tesefes Kedusha, to be Kaddish, connected. That's why they were wearing it. However, what was the Targum Yosin talking about when he said you're not allowed to wear, a woman can't wear talis and tefillin? Targum Yosin was talking about women of the wall. Targum Yosin was talking about feminists who feel like they need to wear talis and tefillin. Oh, you want to wear talis and tefillin to show you're just as good as the men? For you, there's a pasuk, Lo Silbash. And that's how the Bach would explain. But how would we didn't even start explaining the anti-Bach camp. But the people that don't rely on the Bach and say if it's Aser, it's Aser, how are they going to explain Micha bas Shol and Rashi's daughters? So they're going to explain the talis. They probably didn't wear a men's talis. They probably wore a woman's garment that had 4 corners, and they put tzitzis on it. So what's the Lo Silbash there? It's a woman's garment. They just put that had 4 corners. So they can't be Lo Silbash. And what about tefillin? They probably say tefillin's not really a garment. Tefillin's a mitzvah item. And maybe there's no Lo Silbash on the mitzvah item. L'chayr, that's how they would get out of it, but it's definitely better for the Bach than for the anti-Bach camp. Fine. Now, L'maisa, are we going to rely on the Bach or no? So if we're talking about accessories, where the Chacham Sadim said you can rely on the Bach, yes, we're going to rely on the Bach. If we're talking about wearing women's clothing from head to toe, where the Shach said you shouldn't rely on the Bach, we're not going to rely on the Bach. What about for one garment or less than full garments of women's clothing, let's say to stay warm or something like that? Would we rely on the Bach? So there is no end hachra on this. You have many achronim, the Marsham, and to modern day Shevet Levi, who say we do not rely on the Bach, and you cannot wear that one garment of clothing. Whereas we have other achronim, we have Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rav Adi Yosef, who are more lenient to rely on the Bach. But there's no clear hachra at the end of the day. Once you have another reason to be mekel, you have Bach plus something, then you could definitely be mekel. Now the Shulchan Aruch says a man cannot shave his armpit hair. Right? And the Shulchan Aruch says, based on the Rashba, that if a man has cuts or something like that in his armpit, and the armpit hair is causing him pain, he's allowed to. It's mutter for him to shave his armpit. Now, this is very weird. We don't see any din. You're not allowed to wear shotness. But, if your armpits hurt or your whatever hurt, and somehow shotness will make your, be comfortable for you and you're really cold, you can wear shotness. We don't see such a din. Why is it when it comes to this din of Lo Silbash, well, if it's bothering you, you could do it. So, there seems to be a couple of reasons. First of all, there's a din of the Rashba that anything that's in a hidden part of the body is not Lo Silbash D'Oraisa, it's only Lo Silbash D'Rabbanan. So armpit is going to be D'Rabbanan. Number 2, you have the same svara as the Bach, which he's not shaving his armpit to be woman-like. He's shaving his armpit because it's really causing him pain. And we have number 3, that by Makim Tsar, where it's painful, the Loi Gazr by Rabbanim. We don't have the Rabbanans when it's painful. So between that all together, we can be made the Raj was Mekel and the Shulchan Aruch passes that way. I would also point out that Tosfos has a general shita that embarrassment has a din of pain. So if it's embarrassing and it's something that's not nicker, there's going to be room to be Mekel. Okay. Weiter. Yael killed Sisra with what? A tent peg. Now, they ask, why did she use a tent peg? Why didn't she just kill him with the sword? Assuming that was available. So, Chazal answer, Chazal by the way means I don't remember who said it. Chazal answer that the reason why she used a tent peg instead of a sword is because Lo Silbash. She's a lady. She doesn't use a sword if she's a lady, and therefore she used a tent peg. Okay. Now, for the Bach, why would the Bach need to use a tent peg? We understand good and well. She wouldn't have been using the sword to be manly. She would have been using the sword to kill Sisra. Perhaps even the Bach would agree that if she had 2 options available, one was manly, the sword, one was not manly, the peg. If they were both equally capable of doing the job, maybe even the Bach agrees that she has to use the tent peg and not the sword. Okay. What if the custom changes? Something that used to be womanly and not manlike, and now the men start doing it. Would the Isser of Lo Silbash still apply for the man to do that action? And once again, as I said before, and I'm saying again, it will go both ways. I'm just using the man description because that's the easiest for us, but it really works both ways. So what if the custom changes? So does the halacha change? So the Shulchan Aruch says you can't shave your armpits. However, if men do it as well, if you're in a place where men, or in a time that men shave their armpits, then the Isser doesn't apply. It's mutter lichatchila. Shari lichatchila for a man now to shave his armpits. However, the Ramah adds that chaverim, chashuva people, they still hold themselves back, and they'll refrain from shaving their armpits, even though it is allowed. The Shulchan Aruch says a man can't look in the mirror, right? So after Akiva Eger, nowadays it's normal for men to look in the mirror, and therefore men are allowed to look in the mirror. However, chaverim should hold themselves back from it. Once again, we're talking about things that used to be only women. Now men do it as well. Those things are mutter, but chaverim should be machmer. Chashva people should be machmer. Fine. The Sheva Kahasi says that men can only take a peek at the mirror. They're not supposed to stare in the mirror. They can only take a peek in the mirror. And I think the accepted custom is we allow men to look in the mirror more than a peek. But Lamaisa, if you're in a dira and one of the bachrim in the dira is, staring in the mirror for a half an hour when they're brushing their hair, be careful. Let's put it that way. Okay, Lamaisa, tefillin, as we started mentioning before, the Brisker Rav of Yashiv, they looked in the mirror while putting on tefillin. Many Chash people did it, and that could be done. Okay, this Gemara, I think it was in Sanhedrin, that brings the story of there was somebody who they did Avera, they were giving him Malchus, and they took off his shirt to give him Malchus, and the Amoraim saw that he had armpit hair. He didn't shave his armpits. One of the Amoraim said, let's be easy on him. He's one of ours. Because he didn't shave his armpits. The Rashba asked the question, I don't understand what's going on here. It sounds from the Gemara like, it was surprising that he didn't shave his armpits. Meaning that most people shave their armpits. Well, it's not the Rashba. If most people shave their armpits, then you're allowed to shave your armpits. So what's so special that he didn't shave his armpits? There's nothing wrong with shaving your armpits. So the Rashba, we don't factor in the bad guys. those people that go shave their armpits, even though they're not supposed to, those, as I'll call it, bad guys, we don't factor them in. They don't count. We only care about the good guys. And therefore, the good guy, and in the story, the good guys didn't shave their armpits. They thought he was a bad guy, and therefore they were surprised they didn't shave his armpits. So, see, he must be a good guy. The Ran has a totally different answer to the Gemara. The Ran explains that, no, you're right. The question of the Raj was right. Itaka was mutter to shave your armpits. Also, why is saying be easy on him? He's a chaver. We see that even though he was allowed to shave his armpits, he was still machmir not to shave his armpits. He was a chaver holding himself back from shaving his armpits. Suck the Ran. Oh, somebody like this. That's what the Gemara says, to be easy on him. How does something that was abnormal, men were not allowed to do it, all of a sudden become normal and men are allowed to do it, and vice versa? How does this work? So Rav Kiva Eger brings the Prisha, who says the way that it works is the Goyim start doing it. It used to be abnormal, nobody did it. Then the Goyim started doing it, so now it's normal. Once it's normal, the Jews could do it as well. So obviously the first shot in the Prisha is taking into account what the Goyim do counts. Not like the Rajba that says we only care about the good guys. No, we're taking everybody into account, even the Goyim. The Prisha then says Gam Yesh Leimer. It quotes also a second opinion, but it seems that the first one is his main opinion, that says that no, what happens is all the Jewish men decide in one shot, okay guys, we're starting to do it. And if everybody decides in one shot that they're starting to do it, then it's not Lo Silbash, because now everybody started. The second one's a little bit more to swallow. The first one makes very clear, easy to understand type of case. Okay. There is no clear consensus in the poskim to Lamaisa who counts, but it seems that most of the poskim are ready to go with the general world, but it's not so clear. One thing that I would say is maybe like this. If in your circles, when I say your circles, I mean your community, your neighbors, the people that you go to, that you're at work with, even if they're goyim. If in that general world something is normal for men to do, you could say for you that is normal. If you work in a place with lots of goyim and it's totally normal for these type of goyim to do such XYZ, whatever it is, then the chayro we would say that is normal. That's not womanly. That's a man type of thing to do. However, if you live in a world where you live in your Yerushalmi shtetl, and nobody around you, none of the men do such a thing, then the chayra, one could argue that would be something that's considered not manly, and that might be a way of defining what's considered manly. Fine. Let's actually give an example which is going to bring light to this discussion. Is there an isser for a woman to wear pants? Pritzos! Okay, fine. So it's not sneeze for a woman to wear pants, so fine. I'll give you that, we have to agree. But is there isser Lo Silbash for a woman to wear pants? So, and by the way, it may not be tznius, but there are times a woman who's in front of other women, a woman at home, a woman wants to wear pants under her skirt, a woman wants to wear ski pants under her skirt. Would she be allowed to wear pants in these scenarios? So the Avnei Tzedek says a woman can wear pants under her skirt for two reasons. Number one, the Bach, to stay warm. Number one, the Bach, she's doing it to stay warm, not to be manly. Number two, nowadays if they make women's pants, that's a siman that you can't say it's Begadisha anymore. Begadish. The Yagdal Avdi says that there's no Lo Silbash nowadays because it's normal for women to wear pants. He says maybe it's Chukas HaGoyim. That you might want to discuss. But in terms of Lo Silbash, no. The Mishnah Halachos, Rav Elyashiv, Rav Scheinberg, they all say that there's no Lo Silbash for a woman to wear pants nowadays. Once again, she shouldn't wear pants in public because of sneeze, but there's no Lo Silbash. Fine. The Minchas Yitzchak, however, says that it's a tayeva for a woman to wear pants, and therefore it will be Lo Silbash. The Shevet Levi, he says, he also comes hardline with a little bit of an explanation. He says that why is it that women never used 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, however many years ago, why is it that women never wore pants? Because it wasn't sneas. You know why it's manly to wear pants? Because for women, it's just not sneas. So it's by definition a manly thing. And if it's by definition a manly thing, I don't care how many that lots of women do it. It's still an isser of Lo Silbash. Fast forward a couple of decades, and I think it's very, very difficult to claim that women wearing pants is over an isser of Lo Silbash. It's very hard. I mean, look at the world. If you look at the general world, you look at the Cholonim. If you want to look at the modern Orthodox, the very modern Orthodox, it's not just somewhat normal for women to wear pants. That's what they wear. Right now, in the world, there's way, way more women wearing pants right now than there's women wearing skirts. You can't tell me that wearing pants is not a womanly thing to do if that's what all the women do. In fact, if a man wears woman's pants, that's Lo Silbash. And a woman wears man's pants, that's Lo Silbash. What about unisex pants or unisex clothes in general? So unisex clothes in general, which means one clothes that works for both men and women. So that we know is mutter, because there's a Gemara in the Durham that Rabbi Yehuda and his wife, they would, each time they went out, they would go out separately, and they would wear their one garment. I'm not exactly sure what type of garment it was, but they had this one garment that they would go outside with, and they would switch off who gets to use it. So, the Marsha asked, well, Lo Silbash, was it a men's or woman's? And the Marsha answers, it was a unisex garment. It was something that works for both, and when it works for both, it is allowed. I would say even a step further, by the way, that there are some very firm women that are makbid. Most women nowadays will wear pants, wear pajama pants or something of the sort. However, there's some very firm women who are makbid that they won't wear pants, they won't even wear pajama pants. There's the Minchas Yitzchak and there's the Shevet Levi who say that it's Lo Silbash. I think nowadays there's not even a big argument to say such. Because as I said a minute ago, that's what women wear. Now, even if you want to go hardline, you want to go like the Marsham, right? The Marsham says, we don't factor in Goyim. Goyim don't count. The Freya people, not from people, they don't count either. And probably will say the very modern Orthodox, maybe they don't count either. Okay, fine. So you're going to work only with the really from. Okay. And the really from women wear pants? No. Yeah, they do. There's plenty of from women that wear pajama pants. You can't tell me that it's not a normal thing for from women to wear. There are from women that wear pajama pants. So once it's normal for from women to wear pajama pants, you can't tell me it's Lo Silbash to wear pajama pants. And therefore, I don't really know. I can't tell you exactly historically. I have a feeling 50 years ago the from women didn't wear pajama pants. But I think nowadays women do wear pajama pants. And if that is the case, there wouldn't be an isser of Lo Silbash for anybody to wear pajama pants, any women. And once again, I would say further, and once this is the case, to wear pants under their skirt, or to wear ski pants under the skirt, I would say the chayr is fine. Okay, Rav Shlomo Zalman was asked about shaving a unibrow. Are you allowed to shave a unibrow? And he said, it's a mum. You're not doing it to beautify yourself, you're taking away the mum, and that would be allowed. So let's get practical. We have a lot of examples to go through, and it's going to get interesting. Shaving your face. Is one allowed to shave, or is that a womanly thing to be clean shaven? Zok the Tzemach Tzedek, men have beards. Tzemach Tzedek was the first or second Lubavitch Rebbe. Men have beards. Shaving is an isser of Lo Silbash. Rav Shlomo Zalman says, I don't know why the world is a machmer for the Tzemach Tzedek. The Chofetz Chaim in Sefer HaMitzvos HaKatan, one of the small svarim that he wrote, and he's explaining Lo Silbash. He gives the example: Lo Silbash is shaving. Men have beards. Now, I think it's pretty clear times have changed. and it's no longer the Metzias that men have beards. Rav Moshe gives another reason why shaving is not like silbush. He says even after you shave, you still have a little something there, Still have a little something there. It's not like a woman's face which is smooth, and therefore that wouldn't be an Isser of Lo Silbash. Now, was Rav Moshe talking about the super lift and cut, really, really close shave? I don't know. Tzarachin. There's a Rabbik that said that the Isser of Lo Silbash is action-based, not result-based. Whereas Rav Moshe said it's result-based, not action-based. Sounds nice to lumdus. What's nafkamina? So after a bick, you're allowed to shave your face. You know why you're allowed to shave your face? Women don't shave their face. They don't need to. So women don't shave their face, so it can't be like silbush. Zatar Moshe, no, it's not action-based. It's result-based. And therefore, women have no hair in their face. So you taking the hair of your face could potentially be an Isser like silbush. Once again, Rav Moshe is matter for a different reason. Unibrow. So taking away your unibrow. So first of all, we gave the svara of Rosh Shlomo Zalman that you're a Baal Mum and you could just want to make yourself normal. That you could do. Furthermore, women normally don't grow hair there. So in a way, it's a manly thing to shave your unibrow and to get rid of that hair. And l'chayra, it would be allowed. Now, what about to make your eyebrows into a specific shape? To trim them perfectly into a specific shape, that's a womanly thing to do. L'chayra, a man is not allowed to shape his eyebrows into a specific shape. L'chayra, that would be Isser of Lo Silbash. What about plucking some long hairs, or let's say whether his eyebrows are too thick or some hairs are too long, and he wants to pluck some of the hairs? So I'm not positive about this, but I believe that that's considered normal. I think there's enough men in the world that do that nowadays that there would not be an Isser of Lo Silbash. However, we would apply the principle of Chaverim should stay away from doing that. So it's mutter l'chatchila, I think, for a man to pluck those eyebrows. However, a man should stay away from it. Chaverim, Talmidei Chachamim, Chashuv people, etc., should stay away from it and be machmer. What about removing hair from your back, your shoulders, your chest via waxing or laser or electrolysis, however you want to do it? Can one remove the hair? So let's think about it. Who grows hair on their chest, back, and shoulders? Not women. Men grow hair there. Who is it normal to remove hair from your back, shoulders, and chest? It's normal for a man to remove the hair from the back, shoulders, and chest. It's not normal for a woman to do it. Furthermore, these areas are hidden. We already quoted the Rashba earlier. Anything hidden is d'Rabbanan. So if and I would add further, if the person is pained by it, it's itchy, it's sweaty, it's embarrassing to have hair on their back, shoulders, or chest, l'chayra, there's so much to be makel on. It's not a womanly thing to do. It's maybe painful, it's the Rabbanan. L'chayra, one could definitely be makel. However, if somebody has a couple little hairs on their chest, and they want to be able to do laser on their chest in order that they'll be able to look at themselves in the mirror for half an hour at their flat chest, that is not so pashut. Once again, it's not even so simple to call it usher, but I would at least say it's not so pashut. What about getting rid of the hair on your underarms? So that l'chayra is usher. L'chayra, that's going to be the Isser of Lo Silbash. Most men do not get rid of the hair on their armpits. Most of the people that get rid of the hair in the armpits are women. For women, that's a normal thing to do. For men, there are some men that do it, but still most men don't do it. Now, I know what you're going to want to say. Look, nowadays, I read online, so many men do it, it's normal. Well, we see, it seems to me there was always some men, and I was going back and forth, and there was always some men that were getting rid of the hair on their armpits. Now, I don't know what percentage it was then. I don't know what percentage it is now. I don't know what the cutoff point is. It's very hard to say that nowadays there's enough of a percentage of men that are taking the hair off their armpits, then now it's no longer considered a womanly thing, it's considered a manly thing to do, and therefore it's allowed. Once again, I want to contrast this to the chest, shoulders, and back. Chest, shoulders, and back, there are more men that are doing it, so it's hard to call it a womanly thing. Armpits, there's still more women doing it than men. So therefore, it's not, I don't know the cutoff point when to say it's a manly thing, and therefore one has to stay away. Taking pills to prevent your hair from falling out, l'chayr shouldn't be a problem. Removing hair from your nose or ears, that would presumably be allowed, because once again, it's a manly type of thing to do. Now, there are those that want to claim that any hair removal, that's a womanly thing to do. Beautifying yourself by hair removal, that's a womanly thing to do, and it's automatically asur. Now, I think it's a poor argument, because if you look in the Shulchan Aruch, you see that if the men take the hair off their armpits, it all of a sudden becomes mutter. And we don't come with the svar. No, it's automatically a womanly thing to take the hair off your armpits. We don't come and say that svara. We see that it depends on the times. So once we see from the Shulchan Aruch, it depends on the times when it comes to the armpits. So therefore, why are we going to say it's any different when it comes to chest, shoulders, and back? It depends on the times. It seems clear. And I'll tell you, I am very, very confident that the times have changed, and now these things are considered normal. Once these things are considered normal, it seems pretty clear that this would be allowed. Getting a hair transplant, implant, whatever they call that, some men go to Turkey and different places to get hair transplant. That's allowed. That's a manly thing to do. If it's a manly thing to do, it's allowed. Is a man allowed to wear a toupee? A toupee is not a sheitel. It's a separate thing. And l'chayra, a toupee is a manly thing to wear. Women don't wear no toupees. And therefore, l'chayra, it's a manly thing to do, and l'chayra would be allowed. For a man to go and wear a sheitel, that would be a problem. It would be a problem for a man to wear a sheitel that you can't do. I saw somebody today, white shirt, untucked white shirt, sits out, ponytail. What about a ponytail? It's a ponytail begadisha. So I know there are people out there, men out there in the world with ponytails. I don't know exactly the percentages, but I still feel that a ponytail is a womanly thing to have. I know there's men that have it, but I think there's different types of men that have it. So that's why it's a little bit hard to be megader. But some of the men that have ponytails is because they're like womanly men, So that's for sure a problem. There are some like tough guy ponytails. I don't know how to differentiate between a tough guy ponytail and a womanly ponytail. But l'chayra, I would stay away from it. I can't say with absolute confidence it's begadisha, it's Lo Silbash, but I'm noted that it would be a problem. Fine. The Shulchan Aruch says that a woman can't shave her head. Now, it's definitely the minhag amongst Hasidic women to shave their head, so I guess times changed in that. Or I would have assumed that, I guess at the time of the Shulchan Aruch, the women weren't doing that. There was a shtickle pre-Chasidus, I guess so. Okay, but l'maisa nowadays, a woman would be allowed to shave her head. A man is not allowed to pluck the white hairs out from his black hairs. I don't think anything changed. I think that would still be an isser. A man can't dye his white hair black. But he could dye his black hair white, because there's a famous tshuva of a guy who woke up one day with half his beard was white, half his beard was black. The Divrei Chaim and the Ram Shek, they both say that he should dye his hair white. So dyeing your hair white is not a problem. So, fine. There's a story, Geshmak story. A guy dyed his hair white for perm. Geshmak story. He was dressing up like an old guy for perm. He dyed his hair white. Then he went to, then he was planning on after perm, he'll dye his hair black, back to normal. And somebody said it to Shaila. He went to Rav Shammai Gross, and Rav Shammai Gross said, you're not allowed to dye your hair black again. Think about it. What are you doing? You have white hair, and you're dyeing it black so you look good. That's the Isser. The Isser is a guy with white hair who's dyeing it black to look good. And he said, you're not allowed to dye your hair black again. Rav Kalas thought to be, when I heard this in a share from him, he thought to be Makel. First of all, white hair for a 20-year-old, that's a mum. And that you're getting rid of the mum. Secondly, he's not doing it to beautify himself, this 20-year-old. He's doing it to look normal. And if he's doing it to look normal, Rav Kalas felt it should be allowed. Rav Moshe has a tshuva where he says that it talks about a guy that got premature white hair. He got white hair when he was still young. And Rav Moshe says he's allowed to dye his hair black for a job. Why? Because, they're not going to they don't want to hire an old guy. And he was really young. So he says he could dye his hair black to get that job. Seems to me he has like that Rashba type of idea. He's not dyeing his hair black because he wants to be womanly, to beautify himself. He's dyeing his hair black so he looks his age so he can get a job. Rav Sternbach argues, because Rav Sternbach, with this Ramesha, Rav Sternbach says you're missing a stage. What is he doing? He's beautifying himself so he can get a job. And Rav Sternbach doesn't agree with the heter of Ramesha. An interesting thing, which I thought was a chiddush, Reb Chaim Kanievsky and Reb Nebenzahl, they both say, they're both machmir. So somebody has a couple of white hairs. He's not plucking the white hairs, he's trimming the white hairs. I would have thought that would be allowed because it's not derech nashim to trim the white hairs, but they're both machmir and say it's a problem. Is it normal nowadays for men to dye their hair? Has it become a normal thing? Is it no longer womanly for men to dye their hair? So I don't know. Rubelsky wrote like 20 years ago that he thinks it's still not regular, it's still not normal for men to dye their hair, and it would still be Beged Isha. Has things changed? I really don't know. Okay. A man can take pimple medication. It was made for men and women equally. Can a man put makeup to cover up, use makeup to cover up his pimple? So the chayra, if he has he looks pretty much fine, he just has a little pimple, and he wants to make himself really beautify himself, make himself really look nice, the chayra, that's also Beged Isha, wearing makeup. Men don't wear makeup. What, because you want to look all pretty? Sorry, no makeup for you. But let's say he has, a real zetzer, dick a pimple. Something that's really sticking out, could bump into his neighbor, into his chavrusa. You know what I'm saying? One of these big festa pimples, yeah? So if he has a big pimple, that's a Baal Mum. Now if it's a Baal Mum, he can put on a little makeup to get rid of it. It's not beautifying, it's taking away the bad guy. Fine. How about men wearing perfume and women wearing cologne? That would be Lo Silbash. That would be a problem. What about men wearing cologne? Can men wear cologne? Answer, yes. Because it's normal. Obviously, the cologne's made for the men. It's normal for men to wear cologne, and therefore, men could wear cologne, and it's very difficult to claim that would be Isser Lo Silbash. However, one could say that Chaverim should still hold themselves back from wearing cologne. Because once upon a time, that would have been Lo Silbash for a man to spritz anything upon himself. Because once upon a time, that wasn't normal. It's true nowadays it became normal. Therefore, once again, it's mutter lechatchila for a man to wear cologne, but there is a chumrah for the Chaverim to hold themselves back from it, for the chashuv people to hold themselves back from it. Obviously, if it's a unisex cologne perfume, I don't know what you call the unisex stuff, that would be allowed. Deodorant is fine, even though it might have a scent, but deodorant is not, even for the Chaverim, they don't need to hold themselves back from deodorant. Deodorant, the main thing of deodorant is that you don't smell. It's not to positively make you smell like something else. Reb Chaim Kanievsky famously says that a man wearing a watch is an Isser Lo Silbash. Everybody used to take off their watches before they got a bracha from Reb Chaim. Now, first of all, off the bat, the Stipler, Reb Chaim's father, wore a watch. Revel Yashiv, the Reb Chaim's father-in-law, he wore a watch. If we look at the sugya, is it normal for men to wear a watch? Yeah. Why are you wearing a watch? I want to tell time. Maybe a broken watch. Maybe you could talk. But even that, probably not. What's Pshan Reb Chaim? Tzarchin Gadol. Lefi the sugya, it seems that wearing a watch shouldn't be a problem, so it's a big tzarchin. Reb Moshe has an interesting chiddush. He says, let's say you have a baby. Could you put a girl clothes on a baby boy, or vice versa? Boy clothes on a baby girl? So Dr. Moshe, yeah. Because there's no real difference between boy clothes and girl clothes. Boy clothes and girl clothes are the same. The difference is you make the boy clothes blue and the girl clothes pink. And it's a simin ba'alma. It's just to let the world know what they are. But it's not because there's anything special about it. There's no real boy clothes or girl clothes on babies, and therefore it's allowed. Fine. I heard, somebody told me, that it's normal nowadays for men to get a manicure in different communities. Once again, not with colors or anything, but just to get a manicure. I'm not sure whether they put on clear or they put on nothing, I don't know. But to get their fingers cut and I don't know what else they do. Not their fingers, fingernails and whatever. I don't know. Manicure does not sound cool for me. But tzarchin, I don't know the mitzias. If it's normal, then it's normal. It definitely sounds like silbash to me. If I wouldn't have got this new piece of information that apparently in certain places it's normal, I would have for sure thought it's a Lo Silbash type of thing to go for. But once again, if that's the mitzias that it's normal, then it wouldn't be Lo Silbash. I don't know the mitzias. I can't say further. What about a lady carrying a gun? Is a lady allowed to carry a gun? So if it's real pikuch nefesh, the question doesn't start. Real pikuch nefesh, mutter. But what if it's not real pikuch nefesh, but there's a siba, just in case type of siba to wear a gun? So Ramosha says a pistol, a handgun, that would be allowed. What about a long gun, a rifle, an M16 or something? So that would depend. If she's wearing it, which I assume is often the case, because she wants to show off that she's macho, that she's a tough gal who walks around with a gun. You see, I was in the IDF and I have a big gun, and she wants to feel all tough about herself, all macho, all manly, so to speak. The chayr, that would be Isser Lo Silbash. But if it's a case where, listen, we're on the Yishuv, most of the men leave the Yishuv to go to work during the day. We need a certain amount of the women to be able to walk around with guns for safety purposes, even though it's not pikuach nefesh mamish. But for safety reasons, just in case we want some of the women to walk around with guns, so the chayr, that would be allowed. You could definitely rely on the Rashba in such a scenario, not the Rashba, the Bach, in such a scenario, and say that she's not doing it to be manly. She's doing it because there's a need for safety. And the chayr, that would be the halacha. A couple of interesting points. Rav Shlomo Zalman wasn't so happy about people wearing a tie. He said, what's the point of a tie? It's like a womanly type thing to do, to wear something that serves no function just because it looks nice. That's a womanly type of thing to do. And Rav Shlomo Zalman was not so happy about it. Our Menashe Klein questions the concept of giving boys braces. L'maisa, it's not a question nowadays. Braces go equal for boys and girls. Ties are for men. The minig is we wear ties. We put braces on our boys. The Minchas Yitzchak says plastic surgery for men is the Isser Lo Silbash. What are you doing beautifying yourself? Lo Silbash. Ramosha discusses plastic surgery. He gets involved in the whole shayla. Is there Isser Chavola, wounding yourself when you gave yourself plastic surgery? But it doesn't even mention Lo Silbash. L'maisa, if there's a real need for somebody to get plastic surgery, the poskim are makel. Just a little side, tumtum and androgynous. So when it comes to tumtum and androgynous, they have to wear unisex clothing. They can't wear boy clothing, can't wear girl clothing. They wear some form of unisex clothing, and that's what they would have to do. And thank you for listening.